everyone. So recently I had posted my reading possibilities for middle grade March, and I kept that video of just middle grade books that I would like to read in March. But I also wanted to do a video where I talk about some of the other things. So there will be some like adult and like other readathon books that I had wanted to possibly fill in between different middle grade books so that I would have a little variety in March. And these were also just two readathons I really wanted to take part in. The first readathon that I wanted to participate in is TorDotComAthon. And this takes place the whole month of March, and it's just to read books that are from the publisher Tor or Tor.com. And I participated in this last year, and it was fun because I just really like Tor books, like the speculative fiction books. And I was like hesitant about participating this year because I was trying not to read as many library books. But then I discovered I had two books that are from Tor.com that I own, and so I want to put those on my TBR. And I also wanted to read the group book, even though I got it from the library, because it was just something that I had been interested in lately. I will put links to the announcement videos for this so you can learn about who all the hosts are and everything. So the first book that I own that is from Tor.com is Africa Risen, and this is a collection of speculative fiction short stories that are written either by authors from Africa or African descent. And there's like a whole lot of authors. I don't even know if that's the entire list, because it says there are 33 authors in here. And I had just recently bought this like 2 weeks ago, right before the announcement for the TorDotComAthon, and I didn't even realize it was a Tor.com book. So this fit in perfectly because I want to be reading my books that I just bought. And this one, because there's a bingo board, for the readathon, even if I just read this one book, it should fill a lot of the prompts because there's lots of different authors and there's a lot of different short stories. So it should cover a lot of different elements on the bingo board. The other book that I own that's Tor.com is Arch Conspirator by Veronica Roth. This is an arc that was given to me by Bethany from Beautifully Bookish Bethany. When I joined her Patreon, she gave a gift of a book to each of her new patrons. And this is one that she had recently read. And this is a retelling of Antigone. And it's really short. It's a novella. So that one I might fit in to the month. The group book that I was interested in reading was Even Though I Knew the End by C.L. Polk. And this one is also a novella, and I don't really know much about this one, but every time people were describing it, it just sounded really interesting from their description, even if they didn't give a lot about the plot, since it's like a short book. Just the way they were talking about it made me interested. And then I did have a couple books that I already had out from the library, that I've had out for the library for like the last month and haven't gotten to, that I may slot in because I already have them, and that's two books from the Wayward Children series. And so I have In an Absent Dream by Shauna McGuire, which is the only book in this series I hadn't read except for the new release. And then I also got the new release that just came out in January, Lost in the Moment and Found. So if I read these two, I will have read all the books in this series, and I try to keep up all this series, except for some reason I missed this along the way. These can sometimes be read out of order. Like this is one of the this is one of the ones in the series that is in its like own world. So I don't think there'll be a lot of shared characters in that one. So it's okay that I missed it. But I also want to read the new one. So those are all the Tor.com books that I'm thinking of reading. I might not read all of those, but it would be nice to kind of like intersperse some, adult books in between my middle grade books that I'm reading. The other readathon that I'm interested in participating in is Let's Get Graphic Readathon. This is hosted by Keisha from A Book Like You, and I think she has some other hosts. Like I said, I'll put the announcements down below. And this is only a 24-hour readathon running from March 3rd to March 4th. And it's just to read graphic novels or manga or whatever, something graphic. And I thought this would be a fun one to participate in because it's just 24 hours. And I just grabbed some things that I'm interested in, and I'm not going to carry these for the rest of the month. I'm just going to read as many of these as I can fit into that 24-hour time period, and then that's it. So I won't be like reading them throughout the whole month, just for that time period, so I might not get to all of these, but I wanted to have some options. I do have 2 that I own, and the rest are from the library, so my priority would be to read the 2 graphic novels that I own. The first one is a middle grade one, so this would fit also for middle grade March, and that's When Stars Are Scattered by Victoria Jameson and Omar Mohammed. And this is a graphic memoir about Omar's time in a refugee camp. And so I've owned this one for a little while and wanted to get to it this month as part of both middle grade March and this graphic readathon. And the other one that I just bought recently is The Best We Could Do by T. Bowie, and this is also a graphic memoir about her time immigrating to the United States. And so those 2 I own and want to get to, but then I just went to the library while my kids were playing, and because they were in the children's section, they were playing with the toys, and so I just wandered around the middle grade graphic novel section and just picked up a few. And some of these I'm like, well, I'll fit what I can into those 2-day period. They'll also work for middle grade March. And if any of these seem like something my daughter would like, she is just now starting to get into graphic novels. She's in 2nd grade, so like she's getting to the point where her reading is good enough that she can read something that has more graphics so that it kind of helps her with the words. So I want to see if any of these might be something she would want. If not, just for my own entertainment, I picked up one that I thought seemed interesting. The first one is My Aunt is a Monster by Ramina Yi. And this one, our main character is blind and she goes to live with her aunt. And I'm not sure if this is fantastical or if there's something else going on. Like if it's like more of a metaphor about her aunt being a monster. I'm not quite sure, but the reviews were pretty good when I looked them up. And then I have Sorceline by Sylvia Dewey and Paola Antista. And I think this is like a fantasy type book. And I think it has mythical creatures in it. And this is why I wanted to read this one, because my daughter really loves mythical animals. And so I wanted to see if this was appropriate for her age. Next, I have Garlic and the Vampire and Garlic and the Witch by Bree Paulson. I can't remember which one of these comes first, but I had heard Kara from Wild Book Garden, and also I think Keisha from A Book Like You, both have talked about these graphic novels and just said they were really cute. So that was another one where I was like, well, maybe my daughter could read these, so I wanted to check them out first. And then I have Long Distance by Whitney Gardner. And this one was one that just stood out to me as I was looking around and browsing in the library. I liked the cover because it looked kind of like outdoorsy and maybe like camping related. I actually don't know what this is about. But yeah, it looks good from the outside. So if I get around to it, it probably won't be top priority since I never heard of it. And then one that I've heard like everywhere is The Tea Dragon Society by Katie O'Neill. I also picked up the sequel, The Tea Dragon Festival, and I've just seen these all over people's channels on BookTube. So they had it at my library. I picked it up. So those are some graphic novels that, like I said, I'm just going to read them during that 24 hours, see what I get to. I might only get to like 3 or 4 of them. That's fine. But I just wanted to see how many I could read during that readathon. If you want to check out any of these readathons, like I said, I'll link the information down below and you can participate if you would like to. If you are already knowing you're participating, let me know what you're going to read, because I always like to add things to my TBR for later. See you next time. Bye.